Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Christian Mo. It's time to do another Mo Knows Gaming review. This week we are looking at the new Xbox One game, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now, when Tomb Raider was released in 2013, it marked a rebirth for the franchise. A more fragile, innocent Lara Croft, tied to a darker feel and grittier narrative that focused on much more on violence and survival, and it created a game that felt fresh and interesting in a way that nothing from the franchise's decades-long history had before. But, after exploring the origin of Lara Croft's skills and abilities, could the next game in the series feel just as interesting or just as powerful? Rise of the Tomb Raider is finally here, and we can now answer that question. From the moment the game starts, it is obvious that Rise of the Tomb Raider is going to have plenty of wild action. The game starts with Lara and Jonah, one of your characters from the last game, climbing an icy mountain in Siberia. From there, things go south in that special way that only seems to happen to Lara Croft. A series of slips, slides, and near-death climbs leave Lara staring at an avalanche coming to end her life. It is a wild and exhilarating start to the game. From there, the story dies down a little bit. Lara is actually searching for an artifact that her father was once on the path to locating, but her motivation appears to be little more than, Dad wanted to find this, so now I want to find it too. There is a slightly deeper nuance to it, but not really by much. Thankfully, the story is actually a very small piece of Rise of the Tomb Raider's puzzle. Where the first game was built around the idea of Lara becoming the badass she is today, the story on Rise of the Tomb Raider is just used as a reason to put you in some incredible locations fighting some interesting enemies. As Lara is on the search for that ancient artifact that her father wanted, she's racing against an evil and shady group called Trinity that is also after the same artifact. Of course, Lara has that mentality of, this thing should be in a museum, while Trinity wants it to do the same general evil, take over the world kind of stuff that most bad guys want. While the premise of the struggle between Lara and the bad guys may seem weak, your enemy is being headed by a man named Constantine, and he may just be my favorite big villain from any game in the last 10 years. He is sort of a religious zealot with zero remorse, but he has interesting reasons for looking after the artifact. Now, most of the large characters in the game feel very well fleshed out and interesting. Constantine is strong and multifaceted with several motivations, while Lara is constantly growing and evolving into a stronger person who's not afraid to speak her mind. It's all very good stuff. But it's the locational storytelling and diversity that really made me fall in love with this Tomb Raider game. Each area you enter is large and open, but it's densely packed with things to do. In a way, it feels like Crystal Dynamics took everything that we love about big open-world games and condensed them down into a smaller, more manageable chunk. They basically trimmed the fat and delivered a crisp and entertaining experience that never left me feeling bored. Even traversal was present thanks to smartly placed zip lines and generous fast travel points. You'll be doing a lot of traveling and collecting as well on your journey. The mild crafting system from the first game has been expanded to include upgrades to all your weapons, as well as capacity upgrades for ammo and crafting materials. The upgrades are also interesting because they can help you enhance the way you play the game, especially early on. Every time Lara enters an encounter with enemies, you can always play it the stealthy way and sneak around picking off enemies one by one, or you can go crazy and bust in with guns blazing. When it comes time to craft or buy upgrades, you're given those same choices. Should you buy the silencer and craft the padded stock to increase your accuracy on your guns, or should you get the grenade launcher and get a bigger magazine for your rifles? As you get closer to the end of the game, you will end up with basically all of the upgrades anyways, but if you're diligent in the beginning, you can find enough upgrades to sort of tune your playstyle. Along with the enhanced upgrade system, there are a lot more interesting exploration sections in Rise of the Tomb Raider. Whereas the last game had a small handful of extra tombs, there are over a dozen new interesting places to explore in Rise of the Tomb Raider, and they have zero bearing on the main story. This is purely extra content for players who want more challenge, extra platforming, and interesting puzzles. Each major hub area has multiple tombs, and each one contains a special skill or upgrade that will make life easier for you down the road. Best yet, these areas contain some of the best and most interesting puzzles of the game. I probably spent half of my gameplay time exploring and trying to solve these various caverns of mystery. As I got towards the end of Tomb Raider, I found myself a little sad that it was all over. While I enjoyed the premise of the story and the build of the first game better, thanks to a lot of improvements to animation, gunplay, platforming, and the varied mission levels and plentiful extra tombs, Rise of the Tomb Raider is immensely better than its predecessor. And that was a game I thought to be one of the best of 2013. Rise of the Tomb Raider is proof that Crystal Dynamics and Sony have the ability to take the new Tomb Raider design and turn it into a strong franchise with the strength and longevity to last for many years to come. I didn't find the story as powerful as Lara's last outing, but aside from that one point, there's not a single piece of Rise of the Tomb Raider that went without improvement. With such a huge collection of powerful franchises coming out this fall, it can be hard to decide what games to buy. If you only have a chance to play 2 or 3 games this fall, make sure that Rise of the Tomb Raider is one of them. I would give this game a solid 9 out of 10. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I'm Christian Mo. This has been a Mo Knows Gaming review of the new Xbox One game, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'll see you guys in the next video.
I know you hate me going away, but it will be worth it one day. It will all be worth it. Sending my love to you.